Oh, hello. In today's video, we're going to be doing our Legionaries kill team faction review. So, the Legionaries kill team. They have two archetypes, security and seek and destroy. Not security and infiltration as I've erroneously written on the slide, but yeah, security and seek and destroy. Big fan of seek and destroy. I've said that, I think, for all the reviews so far, but yeah. It's a 6-model team. I'll run through it. So you're going to take one leader. You're either taking an aspiring champion or a chosen. The aspiring champion can have a plasma pistol or a bolt pistol, and he can have a power fist, power maul, power weapon, or tainted chainsword. A chosen can have a plasma pistol and a demon blade, or a tainted bolt pistol and a demon blade. There's no getting away from that demon blade. Then you've got 5 legionary operatives selected from the following list. So your Anointed, your Balefire, Acolyte, your Butcher, a gunner with the usual fare for a Space Marine, a heavy gunner with, yes, the heavy bolter and missile launcher, but also the Reaper chain cannon option, an icon bearer who can be kitted out with a bolt gun or with a bolt pistol and chainsword, the Shrivetalon or the Warrior. So essentially you have your leader. The leaders, there's not an obvious winner between the two leaders. They have things going for each of them. And then you have 7 other operatives to fill 5 slots with, right? And that's ignoring the Warrior. Some people say that there's actually not, the Warrior it does have an ability, like all Warriors now. Personally, it doesn't seem to do it for me, but yeah. I think this is a tricky team to try and build lists for and put them in a video, because really I think if you're going to be really good with this team, you're going to heavily adapt what you're playing to the map, the mission, and the opponents. And you're going to be drawing from a deep pool of operatives. So it is a difficult one to say just build this, right? So faction rules. So their big faction rule is Mark of Chaos. By making dark pacts with the ruinous powers, legionaries may increase their own might, yet such bargains rarely come without a cost. When selecting a legionary operative for the battle, you must choose one of the following keywords for it to have for the battle: Khorne, Nurgle, Slaanesh, Tzeentch, Undivided. Each operative's keyword can be different, but a Balefire Acolyte operative cannot have the Khorne keyword. Friendly legionary operatives have an additional rule determined by this keyword, and additional legionary ploys have additional benefits for operatives with the relevant keyword. So, unlike the Angels of Death, where you have to choose your chapter traits like in advance and keep them the same for a whole tournament, for example, in tournament play, you can change your Marks of Chaos around every game anyway as well, so that's pretty cool. So like it says, the Marks of Chaos give you a one-off rule, and they also key things off the various ploys. So we'll run off the sort of always-on one-off rule here, but just bear in mind when you're weighing them up, until you've gone over the ploys over the next 2 slides, you don't really have all the information to weigh them up, okay? So Slaanesh, unnatural agility, plus 1 inch to your movement. Tzeentch, Imperial Guidance. Operative ranged weapons have the severe weapon rule. So remember, severe is if you fail to roll a crit, you can promote one of your ordinary hits into a crit. Khorne, Wrathful Onslaught. The operative's melee weapons have the severe weapon rule. And Nurgle, Disgusting Vigour. Whenever your normal damage of 3 or more is inflicted on this operative, roll d6. On a 5-up, subtract 1 from the inflicted damage. So then you've got Undivided, Vicious Reavers. Whenever this operative is shooting against, fighting against, or retaliating against an enemy operative within 6, this operative's weapons have the Ceaseless Weapon rule. Okay. And then, so, weighing those up, I will say, I think the default pick is, well, all my fighting guys are going to be Khorne, and any shooting guys I've taken are going to be Tzeentch. Now, you could look at it and go, but Phil, like, Undivided is better than Khorne. Like, I'd rather have Ceaseless in combat than Severe. Yes, but basically none of the there is no ploys that key off Undivided, so you've got to bear that in mind. But yeah, I think that's basically the play. They also have Astartes, so we've covered this previously, but in case you haven't watched the previous videos, these genetically modified superhumans are also made for one purpose, which is still war. During each friendly Legionary operative's activation, it can perform either 2 shoot actions or 2 fight actions. If it's 2 shoot actions, a bolt pistol, bolt gun, or tainted bolt pistol must be selected for at least one of them. Each friendly Legionary operative can counteract regardless of its order, so just bear in mind again, unlike Angels of Death, but similar to Night Lords, this does not work on heavy bolters for reasons. Okay. Let's look at the strategy ploys. So these is another part of the Chaos Mark puzzle, right? So you've got to bear this in mind all the way through. So we're going to start with Blood for the Blood God. Bloodthirsty, battle-hungry, and filled with unbridled fury, legionaries strike with rage-fueled might. Whenever a Legionary operative, excluding Khorne, whenever a Legionary operative, excluding Khorne, is fighting, the first time you strike during that sequence, inflict 1 additional damage. Add 1 to both damage stats of friendly Legionary Khorne operatives' melee weapons. So, it's really good. It changes the breakpoints for 2 weapons that we're going to see later in a really interesting way. But simply, spend a strategy ploy, spend a point, all my Khorne guys have +1/+1 damage is really good. The benefit that your ancillary non-Khorne models get is it's kind of a desperation thing because ultimately probably you want your Khorne guys to be in combat, and if your non-Khorne guys are in combat then you have Khorne guys, then maybe you are onto a losing one there anyway. But certainly for the effect on the Khorne marked operatives, really powerful. Then we've got the Implacable strategy ploy, so this is the Nurgle themed one. Now this one's really interesting. So Implacable, empowered by their transhuman might and the gifts of their demonic patrons, Legionaries are monstrously resilient. So you can ignore any changes to the stats of friendly Legionary operatives from being injured. Like, by itself, that's really good, right? Angels of Death basically have a ploy that's just that, spend a CP, turn off being injured. So, Legionaries have that. And then also, whenever an operative is shooting a friendly Legionary Nurgle operative, worsen the X of the piercing weapon rule by 1, if any. Note that piercing 1 would therefore be ignored. This is bonkers. There's very little piercing 2 in the game, like there's melter guns and a couple of Eldar weapons, but there's very little piercing 2 in the game. There's quite a lot of piercing 1, quite a lot of people using their piercing 1. And relying on it to do stuff, and so the presence of Implacable really makes me want to go, oh yeah, all Nurgle, all the time. I think that would be a funny team to play, and it'd be really appealing. Like, I don't think it would be the best build, but it would be fun. I think all Nurgle is probably my second choice for how you'd run these after like half Tzeentch, half Khorne type thing. Quicksilver Speed. Some amongst the heretic Astartes are possessed of a fleetness of foot and inhuman agility which they beguile and confound the foe. Whenever a friendly Legionary operative is fighting or retaliating, worsen the hit stat of enemy operatives' melee weapons by 1. Pretty good. Okay, pretty good. If your Khorne guy is in combat and you've got the CP to burn, doing both the Khorne 1 and the Slash 1, just to get a bit more survivability, is not a bad thing, right? And then you've also got, whenever an operative is shooting a friendly Legionary / operative that performed an action in which it moved during this turning point, worsen the hit stat of the enemy operative's weapons by 1. So, if you're Slaanesh and you moved, you can worsen the hit stat by 2, which is really good. Really good. Because it means that they haven't represented on 4s and are hitting on 6s. Unfortunately, I don't think Slaanesh is good in any other way, but this one thing makes it really funny. And again, maybe like the Nurgle team, if you really want to, you could play all Slaanesh and just have this all the time, and it would be another way of playing the team to make it really survivable, right? So it's funny to me that basically you've got, you've got Khorne makes you good at attacking in melee. Tzeentch makes you good at attacking at ranged. Nurgle makes you good at defending at ranged, and Slaanesh makes you good at defending at melee. That's largely the way to think about it when you're deciding what you want to do. Fickle Fates. Fickle Fates is perhaps the weakest ploy. Let's read it. Fickle Fates. With superhuman reactions, a Heretic Astartes warrior can use even fractional glimpses of the future events to devastating effect. So, whenever a friendly legionary operative is shooting a ready enemy operative, that friendly operative's ranged weapons have the punishing weapon rule. If the weapon already has that rule, like the Reaper Chain Cannon, it has Relentless. Whenever an operative is shooting a ready friendly to each operative in the roll defense dice step, if you retain any critical successes, you can retain a fail as a normal. This is pretty good. It's just that thing of it when you're shooting someone who is ready. It's just that extra step because it's a strategy ploy, so you can't predict what shots your opponent's necessarily going to give you. I could see this potentially falling into the bin of I'm going to use it, and maybe if I'm going first, I know I'm going to get one use of benefit, and maybe that's enough for you. Maybe, getting punishing on one key shot is enough for you, but I think it's probably the weakest strategy ploy, in my, frankly, inexpert opinion. But let's go on. And then the Firefight ploys. So the Firefight ploys don't have an effect for everybody. So the Firefight ploys will only work on the relevant marked models. So you can lock yourself out. If you're playing like a mono-god team, you have one Firefight ploy to worry about, which I guess is a pro and a con, depending on how you view these things. If you're playing all 4 gods, then you have 4 Firefight ploys, and so on and so forth. So, Unending Bloodshed. Even when on the verge of death, the devotees of Khorne spend their last vestiges of energy to kill in the Blood God's name. Use this Firefight ploy when a friendly legionary coin operative is incapacitated while fighting or retaliating. You can strike the enemy operative in that sequence with one of your unresolved successes before it's removed from the kill zone. Pretty good. Gives you a single hit back from death, potentially killing the opponent and getting you kind of a draw where everybody removes their model. Really good use for CP. Mutability and Change. Tzeentch bestows upon his most devoted followers all manner of bizarre mutations, some of which may even prove beneficial. Use this Firefight ploy when a friendly legionary Tzeentch operative is activated. Until the end of that operative's activation, add 1 to its APL. Bananas. Spend a CP, be APL for. Really good. Really good. Because now, with many of your characters, you have a bolt pistol, right? So now you can do things like charge, fight, and then shoot with the bolt pistol, and then shoot with the bolt pistol again, right? Which is going to make it really potentially straightforward to get, or considering you're probably only having the markers each on your ranged guys, but it's still going to be potentially shoot with a good gun, shoot with a bolt pistol, shoot. You can't shoot 3 times, but shoot with a good gun, shoot with a bolt pistol, open door, perform mission action. I think especially on Into the Dark, where you've got doors to worry about, the ability to open a door and move and dash, right, and still shoot, and still go on guard, and still tap an objective, starts to look pretty strong, right? Malignant Aura. Those who swear themselves to Nurgle may be granted his favour. Some are even able to project a miasmatic aura of decay. Use this Firefight flow when a friendly legionary Nurgle operative is performing a shoot action. When you select a valid target until the end of the action, whenever the operative is shooting an enemy operative within 3 of it, including secondary targets if any, ranged weapons have the piercing 1 special rule. Very situational. Shooting within 3 seems really rare to me. A count against the mono Nurgle team. I don't know if trying to build a. I'm thinking of the Nurgle hero set where they have because in Plague Marines Nurgle has a special flamethrower thing that fires rubbish. I don't think you ever want to not take a melter gun and you want to take a flamer. But if you ever wanted to arguably take a flamer, the ability, I guess, to spend a CP to also give your flamer piercing 1, including on all of the torrent hits, it could be very funny. Is all I'm going to say. I think it's stupid and a meme, and actually, it's a bit of a, if I do this and I do this and I do this and I do this, then I'll still miss the melter. But it's something that you could do, which is kind of funny. But I think this is by far the weakest Firefight ploy. Although Sickening Captivation. Slanesh bestows upon the loyal the power to nauseate their foes using dazzling speed, sickening perfumed auras, and horrific sonic projections. Use this Firefight ploy during a friendly Legionary / operative's activation before or after it performs an action. Select one enemy operative visible to within 4 of the friendly operative. Until the end of the enemy operative's next activation, subtract 1 from its APL stat. I don't value APL reducing abilities, and I'm sure it's because I'm not very good at kill team. I'm sure there are people, like, I hear people in other channels going, oh yeah, stun grenade meta, everyone takes stun grenades all the time, and if you're willing to take a stun grenade, you'd rather have this, because this is a sure thing. You spend 1 APL, you spend 1 CP, they lose an APL, you have to be within 4, but it's just free, it doesn't cost you an action, it doesn't cost you any, you have to dice roll, you just have to spend the CP. So, maybe this is really good, and I'm just too stupid to really understand the value of it. It's there. It exists. Yeah. Right, let's into the data cards. So the Aspiring Champion. The Aspiring Champion is 3 APL, 6-inch move, a 3-up save, and he has 15 wounds because he's a leader, right? All the others are going to have 14 wounds. He can have either a plasma pistol or a tainted bolt pistol. And in his other hand, he can have a fist, a maul, a power weapon, or a tainted chainsword. His big ability is In the Eyes of the Gods. During each of this operative's activations, if it incapacitates an enemy operative, add 1 to its APL stat until the end of the activation. So you get that big 4 APL, which is pretty good. I like the Tainted Bolt Pistol, just because you've got the option to go charge, fight, kill, gain an APL, and then you're going to shoot twice with your Bolt Pistol, right? And so once you're shooting twice with the Bolt Pistol, it's definitely better than anything the Plasma Pistol brings, right? So you definitely think, on the Aspiring Champion, I'll go for a Tainted Bolt Pistol. Normally, I dislike Power Fists, because they hit on a 4. But, if this guy is Khorne, right, just bear with me. If this guy is Khorne, you can, for a CP, make his Power Fist 6-8. 6-8 is funny because you can kill a 14 wound Marine with a crit and a hit. Bear in mind also, if you're marked with Khorne, you just always have the thing where if you fail to roll a hit, you get a crit. You get to promote a hit to a crit. You're likely to get that crit that you need. You know, you're rolling 5 dice. Yes, you're hitting on 4s, but you're rolling 5 dice. You know, that's pretty cool. Now, obviously, do you want to take it against another Legionaries team? Are they just going to use the Slanesh ploy? So now you're hitting on 5s, blah, 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 blah. Like, it's actually a very deep team with a lot of options, but it is one that I like. Also, with a crit of 8, you can kill the 8 wound models with a single crit, which is nice. Someone else who can kill 8 wound models with a single crit when he's marked with Khorne, though, is the Legionary Chosen. And he's got a 5 attacks hitting on 3's lethal 5-up, 4/7 Demon Blade, which is pretty cool. It's a better sword, and I think the Chosen is the better choice when you're not fighting into elite teams, right? Now, with the Chosen, I'd probably take the Plasma Pistol. Just because he doesn't have that thing to give himself an extra APL, so you're more likely to try to be doing charge, fight, shoot, and at that point you might want to go for the hot, especially as he has a heal, right? So after he fights or retaliates, if it isn't incapacitated, but it incapacitates an enemy operative or inflicts critical damage, it gains D3 plus 3 lost wounds. And I'd be running this guy with the Mark of Khorne, so he's going to be inflicting critical damage every time he fights. So he's going to be gaining wounds. Wounds, right? He also has Demonic Aura, which means if an enemy tries to fall back, you roll d6. On a 3-up, they're trapped in combat with you. I think I'm taking the Chosen into like non-elites, and I'm taking the Champion into elites. I think is basically how that goes. Yeah. The Balefire Acolyte. So the Balefire Acolyte is really interesting, a bit of a jack of all trades. He does a couple of different things. He has Fire Blast, which is basically a bolt pistol, so 4 attacks hitting on 3, 3, 4. It has a 2-inch blast, it has Devastating, it has Saturate. So if you're playing against a Horde player and they give you the shot with the Fire Blast, yeah, go for it. You'll kill a couple of guys maybe. You've got Life Siphon, which is your other ranged attack. This one rolls 5 dice hitting on 3s, Psychic, Saturate, and Siphon Life. So Siphon Life, whenever you're using this weapon at the start of the resolve attack dice step, you can select one friendly legionary operative visible to him within 6 of this operative. For each attack dice you resolve during that step that inflicts damage, that friendly operative regains 1 lost wound or D3 if it's crit. And again, with the ranged weapon, you can go Mark of Tzeentch to guarantee yourself a crit with the ranged Life Siphon, or to guarantee yourself a crit with the ranged Fire Blast and therefore get that devastating 1 wound. It's a pretty good choice. He does also have a Fell Dagger, which is actually slightly better than the ranged Life Siphon by a point of crit damage, but he's not eligible for the Mark of Khorne, so you can't guarantee a crit with the Fell Dagger in the same way. Nor can he benefit from having +1/+1 damage. The Butcher. The Butcher is possibly one of the best of the 3 melee operatives in the team. Certainly in this elites-heavy meta that we seem to be in, right? Just because the Butcher can do the exact same trick, he basically has a Power Fist, 5 dice hitting off 4, 5, 7 brutal, and he's exactly the same thing as the Aspiring Champion, where if you give him a Mark of Khorne, he can kill a Marine in 2 hits, right? I think you probably don't take the Butcher if you're not, because you can decide once you're looking at the teams, and you don't take the Butcher if you're playing into an 8 wound or lower team, right? But he's pretty cool. I like him. His other abilities are whenever he is fighting or retaliating, enemy operatives can't assist, which is situational since you're mainly taking him to elite teams, and I guess not that often are they going to have a potential assist, but they may well do. And then he gets a free, so his other ability, at the end of each enemy operative's activation or counteraction, you can select an enemy operative within 2 of this operative. This operative can perform a free charge action. You can change its order to engage to do so, but it can't move more than 2 inches and must end the move within control range of the selected operative. So you can, basically, if someone is foolish enough to end the move within 2 of you, you can charge them, but you can't move more than 2 inches. Which means that you can't necessarily charge with on the other side of a barricade and stuff like that, but in general they can't end within 2 inches of you, which is pretty cool. The Anointed is my second favourite melee operative. I think my first choice against non-elite teams, or if for whatever reason I'm not taking the Mark of Khorne on him. So he has a pistol, and he doesn't ever lose the ability to shoot his pistol, which he did in the last edition, which is nice to know. He has a Demonic Claw, so rolling 5 dice hitting on 3s, 4, 5 rending. He can choose to go Demon Mode. If he goes Demon Mode, he can't ever go back. He loses it. I'll read it. Unleash Demon. Once per battle, when this operative is activated, you can use this rule. If you do until the end of the battle, this operative cannot perform the pickup, marker, or mission actions, excluding Operate Hatch. If it's carrying a marker, it must immediately perform the place marker action for 0 AP. This takes precedence over all of the rules. Normal and crit damage of 4 or more inflicts 1 less damage on the operative, and its Demonic Claw has the ceaseless and lethal 5-up weapon rules. So, I think you go demon with him as soon as possible. Because he can open doors. He used to be a big handicap for him that he couldn't open doors in the old game, but he can still open doors. And there's just fewer mission actions to be done in the game, right? There's fewer mission actions to be done in the game. I think you probably want to give him the Mark of Khorne just to make that attack have the chance to boost that up to 5-6 when you've got your Khorne strat ploy up. I'm not sure how he interacts with Nurgle. Right, so remember, Nurgle has, if the damage result is 3 or more, roll a dice on a 5-up, reduce 1. So can you stack that? Can you go, this hit of 4's coming in, I'll reduce it to 1 with his innate ability, and then I'll roll a dice, and if I get a 5-up, I'll reduce the remaining 3 damage by another 1? If so, that's pretty tanky. That's pretty cool. You're gonna struggle to kill him if he has the Mark of Nurgle, which is pretty fun. The Shrivetalon, which I think is the weakest of the sort of trio of melee guys. I'm not often going to take the Shrivetalon, I don't think, if I'm running this team. The Shrivetalon has Flensing Blades, 5 attacks hitting on 3, 3, 5, lethal 5 up, which is fine. He has vicious reflexes. Whenever this operative is retaliating, you must resolve the first attack dice, i.e. the defender, instead of the attacker. That's cool, that's a great ability, right? And then he's got horrifying dismemberment. Whenever this operative incapacitates an enemy operative while fighting or retaliating, select one other enemy operative visible to within 3 of this operative or the incapacitated operative. Subtract 1 from that enemy operative's APL until the end of the next activation. I don't really value APL debuffs, which is why I'm not a huge fan of the Shrivetalon, I don't think. And then his whole big thing with Grizzly Mark on the back of his card. So Grizzly Mark, 2 AP, which I think is absurd. Place your Grizzly Marker within the operative's control range. Whenever an enemy operative is within 3 of your Grizzly Marker, your opponent must spend an additional 1 AP for that operative to perform Pickup Marker and mission actions. Whenever determining control of the marker, treat the total APL stat of enemy operatives that contest it as 1 lower if at least one of those enemy operatives in 3 of your Grizzly Marker. This isn't a change to the APL stat. Like, there are only 3 objectives, and you can basically ignore them if you want to. And it's 2 AP, so whoa, I don't get it. It's just not. Make it 1 AP. Make it 1 AP, and at least then you can move and dash and put it on the middle objective at the start of the game and cause your opponent a bit of a problem. But at 2 AP, He's warming a bench for me. Let me know what you think. I'm not a big fan of the Shrivetalon now. Gunner, yeah, man. Melter gun. Marker to Zinch. Guarantee yourself crit. Get a devastating 4. It's a P2 melter. I mean, it's really good. Yeah. Yeah, okay, it's only got range 6 inches. That's fine, though. You'll be fine. Melter gun. Yes. Heavy Gunner, if you watch my Night Lords video, you understand that I think you should go for a missile launcher, and I probably take the missile launcher. So the same conversation happens as happened in the Night Lord video. Do you see a reason why you want to take a long range? Because right now we could easily fill a roster without much in the way of long range. Do you want to take a long range gun to stop somebody just sitting a guy on engage, on a vantage point, and shooting you? Making you feel like a fool as you run towards them? My answer is probably, and therefore you probably want to take a missile launcher, right? All 3 of the weapons are kind of similar, right? They all have a focused / crack profile for shooting one thing, and the sweeping / frag profiles for in different ways shooting different things. The heavy bolter is slightly better with its sweeping profile than the missile launcher is with its frag grenade. So maybe if you really want to deep into the team and have a huge roster, you go heavy bolter if you're against a horde team of 10+ models. The chain cannon seems utterly redundant and pointless. I don't understand. It's a heavy bolter with worse damage and no piercing crits. So, I mean, it gains ceaseless and punishing, but I don't understand the Reaper Chain Cannon or why anyone would ever take it. I think it's hot garbage. The other 2, I can see the argument for. I'd probably go for the missile launcher. If you understand what the Chain Cannon is doing, let me know in the comments. The Icon Bearer, oh my god. Oh my gosh. The Icon Bearer gives you a CP every turn. You don't have to spend an APL to get this CP. You don't have to do anything to get the CP except be alive. So be alive, gain a CP. Right? You saw the Strat Ploys. You're going to want to use multiple of those Strat Ploys every single turn. Well, maybe not the first turn. Interesting thing that we didn't talk about, actually, Strat Ploys in the first turn. I think with the scouting option, I think yes, if you're doing like Mono Nurgle, just to keep yourself extra safe. Probably not if you're doing Tzeentch or Slash. Tzeentch or Khorne, you probably just hold on to it in the first turn, but you let me know. And stock up your CP to go into turn 2 with a huge quantity of CP. This guy gives you extra CP every turn. Ridiculous. It's amazing. It's good. He also does the standard Icon Bearer thing, right, of being an extra APL on an objective. You can give him a bolt pistol and chainsaw or a bolter. You don't want him to die. You want to keep him generating that CP. So guess give him a bolter, shoot people with the Mark of Zinch, right, get crits, shoot twice. If you need to, open doors and do stuff and flip markers and punch objectives. You can have 4 APL if you need them. But yeah, I think Icon Bearer is mandatory. How you want to arm your Icon Bearer is up to you. Obviously, if you want to run like a mono Khorne team for theme and stuff, you go Chainsword and Fist. It's not bad. That Chainsword with Khorne would become 5-6 on the big like Khorne strat ploy. And the nice thing about being mono god is you just have your strat ploy up on all the time, so all your weapons are just more powerful, right? He's a real double-edged thing of like, do you want to be a mixture and you get these benefits, or do you want to be mono god and get just with this plus just on all the time? Good luck. The warrior is interesting. So the warrior has Infernal Pact. Whenever the operative is activated, you can change its Mark of Chaos. And some people are saying, oh, it's the best thing. Always take a warrior. Take 2 or 3 warriors. I can't see the point. Maybe because I'm stupid. But I would never bother with the warrior. It's cute, it's funny, it adds flavour and texture. Personally, I'm never going to do it. But I'm totally wrong. I just don't see that the flexibility thing is better than all the opportunities that you're missing by taking it instead of one of the other operatives. Equipment. We got warded armour. Daubed with profane icons, emblazoned with infernal scripture, and blessed by the ruinous powers, this power armour possesses unholy resilience. Strategic Gambit. Select a friendly legionary operative until the ready step of the next strategy phase. Change the operative save to 2 up. Really good. Pretty close to being auto-take. Just because you can often see in the strategy ploy, like in the strategy phase, like, oh, well, at this point, you know who's going first for that turning point as well. Like, oh, well, he really wants to shoot him. Okay, I can see the guy where this is going to make a difference. This has a 2-up save. And if that then makes your opponent do something different, right, and you don't actually get to roll any of those 2-up saves, don't forget that you've potentially got a psychological advantage from that, right? Tainted Rounds. Subjected to fell rituals, these bolt rounds are infused with corruption. Once per turning point, when a friendly legionary operative is performing the shoot action, you select a bolt pistol or bolt gun. You can use this rule. If you do, until the end of the action, the weapon has the rending rule. I mean, it's fine. If you're going to be shooting a bolter, maybe you've got your Icon Bearer with his bolter. Now he has a rending bolter. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's not amazing, but it's not bad. Chaos Talismans. Those who carry the talismans of the ruinous powers may be granted great gifts, though they invariably come at a price. Strategic Gambit. Select 1 Mark of Chaos keyword. During each of their activations, when a friendly legionary operative has that keyword, it's shooting, fighting, or retaliating. If you roll 2 or more fails, you can inflict D3 damage on the friendly operative to discard 1 and retain the other as a normal success instead. Note that if it's the shoot action and the damage incapacitates a friendly operative, the action doesn't end. Continue the sequence with your successful attack dice. So this is funny. Presumably, if you're taking it, you're putting it on Khorne or Zinch, and it just gives you the thing where you can go, oh, cool, I missed, I rolled terribly. Well, now I've got a hit. You can go from 0 hits, use Chaos Talismans to get a hit, and then you can use your Mark of Khorne or Zinch, depending on whether it's combat or shooting, to turn that into a crit, which is kind of cute. I quite like Chaos Talismans. Obviously, it gets better if you're playing a mono god thing, right? But you've got a bit of healing as well. You've got the Balefire Acolyte who can heal you, and of course, if you've got the leader, the demon, little mini demon prince leader, he can heal himself as well. So he'd be a good target for this. Yeah, it's nice. It's a little bit hurricane insurance. You might take it and then never roll 2 or more fails potentially. So, but then that'll probably be a good game for you, right? And then Malefic Blades, redolent with demonic energies. This blade hungers for blood. So friendly legionary operatives have the following melee weapon for the battle. 5 dice hitting on 3s, 3, 4. It's pretty great. If you're taking gunners, it's pretty great, right? But the thing is, compared to what we've looked at so far, none of this equipment, and maybe it's me being really dumb, none of this equipment is blowing me away. None of this equipment seems really, 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 really powerful. Okay? So maybe you want to take some universal equipment. The trouble is, what universal equipment are you taking? Well, if you're playing on like Better Decima or Into the Dark, you probably want barricades, maybe heavy barricades, maybe you want some ladders, So you're not, at least unlike some other teams, which I have reviewed and will review, where you go, oh, the equipment's always great, always take all of it, and then it's really painful when you're on a Better Decima and you really want those ladders and you really want those barricades and you really want this, that, and the other, and it's making painful cuts. They're not bad pieces of equipment, but basically because only the Malefic Blades does the thing of it's for the whole team. Contrast with the Night Lords, where so much of their equipment was just like, well, now your whole team does this, your whole team does this, your whole team does this. And I just think that those kinds of equipments, where it's just your whole team gets this, your whole team gets this, are much more valuable than just, oh, this one guy can do this turn, and now this one guy can do this turn. I do like the warded armour, just because that 2-up save is going to really annoy people when you put it on the right crucial miniature. But yeah, that's the equipment. It doesn't sing to me, but that's the equipment. Tac Ops. I mean, this is going to be a very familiar argument. I like Champion. It's going to push you to play the way I think you probably need to be playing, of killing a Marine every turn or 2 weaker guys. Now, some people think this is lunacy of mine, and you're better off with Overrun or Storm Objectives, because Champion's quite hard to do. I don't think it is. If you're playing into Marines, you've got to kill 1 Marine, so actually it's probably better than the others. Against non-elites, you've got to kill 2 with 1 model, but come on, you got 3 APL, you got funky ploys, you got double shoot bolters. You can make it happen. It's going to push you to do things every turn, where if you're doing them, like, you're getting Champion, and then you're getting like the 2 kills, and yeah, that guy might then be out of position and then die, but it doesn't really matter because you've gone 2 kills ahead, or 1 kill against Marines, and you've scored 2 points, hopefully, for this. It's yeah, I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. Sample lists, so I've come up with 2. I will caveat this by saying I don't think taking one of these lists and running it is the way to win with this team. I think the way to win with this team is to build like 10 different models and to pick from them based on the scenario. And also, don't make a rod for your own back and be like, oh, well, I'm going to make a corn guy with red stuff on, I'm going to Nurgle guy with green stuff on. If you want it that way, you're going to end up needing to buy like half a Chaos Space Marine army to have all the models. Pick one of the chapters, like Night Lords, or not Night Lords, but like Word Bearers or Black Legion or something like that, or Alpha Legion, and then just have, like, today, this guy's this, this guy's this, this guy's this. Right, that's my advice to you. So I would say one list that springs out to me as a sort of take all comers list: Aspiring Champion with Bolt Pistol and Power Sword, the Mark of Khorne, the Balefire Acolyte with the Mark of Tzeentch, Melter Gunner with the Mark of Tzeentch, Heavy Gunner with the Missile Launcher and the Mark of Tzeentch, the Butcher with the Mark of Khorne, and the Icon Bearer with the Bolter and the Mark of Tzeentch. And then one slightly funny list or skew list that sang to me while I was putting these slides together is we're going to go for the Chosen over the Aspiring Champion, because we're not taking the Mark of Khorne, so the Chosen becomes better, with a Plasma Pistol, because I think he may as well, and the Mark of Nurgle. Balefire Acolyte, Mark of Nurgle, the Gunner with the Melter Gun, or if you really want to embrace the meme value of this list, take the Flamer, just so you can use that one thing where it's like, aha, now my Flamer that's flaming like 3 of your guys, and it has Piercing 1, hooray, with the Mark of Nurgle. Heavy Gunner with the Missile Launcher with the Mark of Nurgle. Anointed, not Butcher, because again, the Butcher's only really that good with the Mark of Khorne. I think in every other case, the Anointed is better with the Mark of Nurgle. And an Icon Bearer with the Bolter and the Mark of Nurgle, because Nurgle is the best Chaos God. You used to think Slanesh was the best Chaos God. I've grown and matured from a sleazy guy into a stinky guy. I don't know. I quite like my silly Nurgle list. And part of me is thinking, oh, I wonder how far could you get with this with the Nurgle? Because I've got all the Nurgle heroes on a shelf. Like, how far could you get with this with the Nurgle heroes? But I don't actually need to do it, right? Kill Team Legionaries now. Something to explain. So it is a 1-box kill team, right? You can pick up a box. You can't currently buy Kill Team Legionaries from Games Workshop, right? You can't currently buy Kill Team Legionaries from Element Games either, right? You can buy them from my backup store, which is the Wargame store. So that's wargamestore.co.uk. I don't have any kind of commercial relationship with the Wargame store. I just wanted to find somewhere that had Legionaries in stock for you. In case anyone's watching this, like, yes, I want Legionaries. Now, this is an old box. We're expecting them to do a rebox of them. Maybe they'll announce it on Sunday. I'm recording this on a Friday. And then the box will come out with a new token sheet in, which is brand new. Okay, but as for right this minute, at time of recording, on the 11th of October, 2024, you cannot officially buy Legionaries, so you're looking to buy stock from the previous edition of the game. The miniatures will be exactly the same, the price will be a little bit lower for you, but you won't have that token sheet. Your mileage may vary. But it is a one-box team. Final thoughts. I think this team is much deeper than Night Lords in terms of you have a massive roster and you're changing around from it a lot. And I think if you could really make playing Legionary a core part of your identity, like they're a team you could really get deep into and change and really think deeply about what you're doing. Personally, for me, I think the Night Lords are better because they don't have to choose between being offensive and defensive. Right, because they have a Midnight Clad, and yet also they have, I think, better melee operatives, in my opinion. Right, but what Legionaries do bring you is that Khorne Power Fist and that Khorne Butcher. I think Night Lords are better, but in the elite matchup, and it's looking like it's going to be an elite meta. I think Legionaries might come out on top just because they're going to beat most elites in combat with those two miniatures. So, food for thought there. I'd love to hear your lists and combos for the Legionaries list. What I've given you two lists that I like. I'm sure there's many, many more because it's a very, very deep team with a lot of variables and moving parts, right? To kind of round out looking at all the Space Marine teams, we're going to look at Thousand Sons next. So, unless any big news happens tomorrow, that will be out tomorrow. So, look forward to that. And I want to say a big thank you to all of my members, subscribers, and supporters. Without you, I wouldn't still be doing this. So, thank you, everyone who regularly comments, likes, subscribes, and of course, those channel members that directly financially support me. Thank you so, so much. It means so very, 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 very much to me. It really does. All right, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye. 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 Goodbye. Bye-bye.